Well, hello and welcome to Beyond Mixed Media with Michelle Holden. And as you can see, just a reminder that I am offering a 5-day free Intuitive Layers Inner Exploration course. I guide you through my unique mixed media layering process combined with your intuition, and it goes beyond craft to start your intuitive art journaling journey. And here we are this week. I titled it How to Use a Mark Making Art Journal, because this is a new series that I started and a new journal, of course. And I'm just focusing on mark making, transparent layering, and not necessarily transparency, but intuitive layering. And I'm just going deeper with my own intuitive layering process. So as you can see, I selected probably way too much, but I just want everything there within my reach so I can just keep in flow. Now this flow mindset is a non-thinking mindset. It comes from just like an inner knowing, and it takes time to develop. And it requires a stillness, mindfulness, and just a beautiful calming atmosphere, which is wonderful for our own selves. And it helps you connect to your true art. And that's the purpose of my channel, of my course, and everything that I do. And it's quite a journey that I've been on so far. So with this page, this is last week's page that I started, and I just wanted to focus on mark making, not so much the layering, because it is the backbone of your authenticity, of your authentic voice as an artist. And it's quite amazing, especially this page. I really did use a lot of bright colors that I don't usually use, but I really enjoyed it. I just kept going. So I will leave the card in this video, so check out last week's video. And I ran out of time. Life, that's just how life goes. And I let them sit. I let it sit. I say them because I started another page on the next page that you'll see in a little bit in this video. So I'm not only just using one page, because in my larger series, this is what I'm exploring, I want to work on at least 2, maybe 3 canvases, maybe even 6 or 9 or more. And if you haven't seen that video, I will leave it in the card as well. It's a series of 16 small 5x7s, and then when you get in flow and get going, it's a wonderful process. So there's a lot of yellow. After I let it sitting, I really enjoyed all the marks. But to go further with this piece, it needed to be quieted down. Now, what parts do you quiet down? It just depends. The busyness of the lines, the energy on the left here, I'm using my neutral, just that off-white. And I know many times during the video, but when I'm doing my voiceover, I forget the name of some colors of paint, so forgive me. They will be in the description below the video. So I'm just quieting down, and I'm thinking that layer is too thick. It just needed a very thin layer. You could even come over it with a very open deli wrap paper with line. And I know I may have mentioned it in this video, in last week's video, I mean, so I can quiet down different areas but still have some unique line on the top. And when there's something pushed back, then you start and stuff or line pattern on the top, then you start developing your depth. And so sometimes I think it's too beige and I add some white, and that is the fluid Liquitex, and it's really, really nice. And so I'm just toning down some of that bright yellow, even though I really loved it. But we don't need so much. So when you're in your, not in your flow, and you're observing, you're spinning out of your intuitive flow there, you can see what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep. And there's the other page that I started. Because at the end of last week's art journaling page, I usually have leftover paint, and I usually love to use my small roller right there on my glass palette and a brush or whatever that I've just been using, and just start with some really interesting marks, very spontaneous, and then I let them dry, and then that helps start or activate the next page. Now, I don't always want to do this because I might want to experiment with different kinds of marks, but that's just what I did. And so this week, I'm alternating working on 2 pages at the same time. And I really like this process because it, one, you respond to one and one affects the other. So you don't, it's preventing me from this overthinking. And overthinking can really cause a lot of issues. You can get too precious, too much anything. You just need to not think and respond. And then at the end, you can look at what you've got. And then, of course, it's important that you at least jot a few things down. I like to do it on the left-hand side page where that piece of collage is, and just using a pencil, whatever, just the key points, the key layers that you really liked in the end, say the blue line at the beginning, and really making a note as to were they in your beginning layers, your middle layers, or your last layers, which is really important when you're using an intuitive layering process or any kind of layering process. Because some will get hidden, some will get partially hidden, and you can't plan this, or at least I can't. And it's really, really cool how that occurs. So as you can see, the dryer, the little hair dryer that I use, comes in and comes out. So I edit those out of the video. So you need to realize that there is drying needed. And this little very low heat, it's not a high heat dryer, just works fine for me. So using my color shaper, I'm finding I'm liking that more now rather than that brush because there's less tearing. It glides over the paper. It's more gentle to this is a deli wrap, and they're just open lines. And the kinds of lines that you make, and I'm going to, in my course that I'm making right now, that's where we're going to dive deeper, is slowing down. Maybe not doing the curly cues because they don't resonate with you. They're not, it's like everybody's doing those. It's like, no, you don't want to make marks that everybody's doing. You want to make your marks. So you need to slow down, quiet, and just take your time. Maybe listen to some music. Anything that'll help you bring your mind to a more present moment, paying attention. And it takes practice. This isn't an overnight kind of thing. So those have been sitting around and I've been attempting to use them and then didn't end up using these at all on deli with my jelly plate printer with strips of paper, not tape, blocking out, so I'm getting some really cool rectangle shapes, or thick lines, you could call them. And they're really interesting opposites of what's on the page already. But I'm just not liking, at this point anyway, the energy or the relationship isn't there. So we just keep on going. So the fluid black, the Mars black, I love. And there's warmer blacks that you can get as well. I haven't had time when I go into my art store to really pick through, and I'm finding, at least at my art store, the different types of brands and everything. It's very limited. So I'll have to find another source of paints and maybe even change some brands. But I like the Liquitex for art journaling. So I'm getting this longer flat brush, and I also need to find some more mark making tools. That's up next week. Since it's fall, it's my favorite season, and we're going to go into my area, my yard, my garden, and I'm going to find some amazing natural plants that are, past seeded, and we'll see what we can do with those with ink and acrylic paint. So I love the thought of, you see how far back those earlier black marks are? Then I covered them, and now there's layers building up. And now I'm flipping through, because of course I don't want this page being wet underneath. And so I responded with the thicker black marks from the previous page, and I thought, oh, let's see if this needs it. It just needed more dark or texture on top. And that's looking very interesting. So now you see, and that's too busy. And that's why that didn't work. Interesting, more line, but I have enough horizontal line going on there, at least I believe. And I love the blue swish of paint. Now these work, and I knew in my mind, because there's a lot of open space, and right now I've gone to find the stencil to show you. And it's just, I think it's Temu. It's not even Stencil Girl. I ordered a whole pile. They took a while to get here, so I live in Ontario. And I'm going through, there's the water representation, sort of book text. What's this one? Of course, those are my rhombuses that I love. The smaller tree, which I find better than the bigger one because the lines are more refined, the edges. All sorts of more water, but it's more horizontal. That would be very interesting. But I didn't go for it. I just wanted to show you, there it is. So even using the black on the white and white on the black on the same page somehow would be an interesting approach, or layer, I should say, if there was more black. So I'm about to make a few changes. So here is the ratio. This is what I want to talk about. It looked okay, but as soon as it got too large, it lost its impact, as you can see. So I did want to leave, so lower and then slightly off the edge, and that's why it works. And that big black blob looks really cool. So I'm putting in a nice layer. I like to use the fluid, but then I switched, because now I'm realizing, or today, when I'm using the color shaper, it spreads the gloss medium really nicely, and I can be rest assured it'll be gentle on the collage paper because of its rubber edge. And it really gets the bubbles out. I love how transparent this is. And the edges just disappear. So if you haven't already, I hope you have tried or thinking about my 5-day free course. And it really sets you up on your own art journaling, your intuitive art journaling practice, because we go through a lot of mark making, different collage papers, and then putting them all together to experiment in this way. And it's really the backbone of my process. But I'm in the middle now of creating my signature course that's going to come out in the new year. And if you want to be in touch with that, please consider it and get on my newsletter. And I have a newsletter that comes out twice a month and will increase in the future. And also the 5-day free course, I have a supporting Facebook group, which I am doing twice a month Zoom meetings, quick demos, where people want to go and inspiration. And so it's a pretty lively group. And so I hope to see you there. So the sign up is in the description below this video, and it's also on the profile of my YouTube channel. And as you can see, I've used yellow because it was in that upper corner. I didn't want to put more blue, like contrasting, so I like to use colors that are near this, so it doesn't, it's just better compositionally and value-wise. So the value is matching, and if you are matching the value, you're not doing anything very contrasting. It maintains the composition of the piece. And if you want to, you can change it by really going with a difference or covering it up completely. So I love this back and forth. This is the piece of collage that I tore that other piece from, which is right there on the upper right. And those are the multi-layered collage pieces that we make in the 5-day free course. And they're really fun. I called, what did I call them? They are multi-layered. And there's another one where it's, you do a lot of drawing. Just really a combination of stencils, stamping, mark making, all on the one piece of transparent collage. And it's it can get really busy, but you just have to learn to just discern from that. So the pink collage influenced this pink Posca pen with my favorite dashes. I just remembered. Gestural collage is what I'm calling it, because you're doing a lot of drawing, maybe some images, maybe some numbers, symbols, anything that resonates with you. And I like to add writing into my layers too, and use the writing as the line, both meaning and as an element. So that's something I want to experiment with. What about you? Do you use writing in your art journaling in different ways? Do you use it as meaning, or do you use it as an element, a line element? So it's a pretty interesting element or part of this process. So I chose to thicken up the lines with my little brayer, and I love the marks it leaves, especially when I'm using the fluid black Liquitex that I have on my glass palette right there. And then I usually like to score through it, but not too much, because the whole purpose was to add a more solid layer, an opaque layer. So I thought, okay, let's join some of these spaces. And I didn't want to go too solid. So that sort of halts the eye from going off the edge. Filling in a little bit, but really trying to keep it organic. Keep it natural. There's so many shapes, textures, line, and pattern to explore. So these are, what were these ones? I forget what this stamping tool was, but I love it. White paint on black. And I also, another great collage is making it sort of translucent on book pages, and just interesting old book pages, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner there, which didn't seem to go with these two collages, but I love them. Okay, so I chose this spattered black texture marks just on copy paper to use anytime I still want to maintain white, but totally cover what's underneath and just add a little bit of texture. So I really think this type of collage is very handy. So you also might want to make a note. There's so many notes to make as to what kind of collage you use for covering up, for veiling, and still the open, the lines, but with open space, tighter. So you want to have that contrast going on, spatter, little dashes that are spread apart or close together. So you get all of these differences going on. This is deli paper again, made with a stencil and my jelly plate printer. So it's looking like I better get some jelly plate printing techniques that I use up on this as part of this mark making. More to come soon. There's just not enough time. But I will make time. That's right. How do you make time? How do you carve out time to show up for your art practice? I'm discovering that I'm better showing up more for shorter periods, especially during the week, since I'm a full-time teacher still, and just do it when I can. But it does interrupt, because as you can, you get into it, then you have to leave it, and you have to reconnect, but it's doable. And on the weekends, I get to come in and work more consistently, which is really better for planning new work, new lessons, my course, and all sorts of things. So yes, so with that hand movement that I just made, I picked up the diagonal movement and the eye moving down, which is sort of cool. And as you can see, the layers are intertwined. Some are back, some are in the front. And it all depends, well, what kind of feeling do you want to create? What's your message? What's your aesthetic? And that's what I'm working on too, with some different series. I've been working on a few things, but not really getting diving deep into it. And so I'm really looking forward to doing that. So in the end, I'm really liking how that circle stencil worked in the lower left-hand corner. This page, it's okay, but it's sort of like a response to the other page. So let's see what I do. As soon as I start layering this thin translucent layer of white and pushing back some of that busyness, quieting down this page, it has a more interesting feel. Yeah, getting rid of that line or part of it. Making some decisions here. Realizing there is some yellow, but those are too busy because it counteracts what I was just trying to do. It's interesting how this page is different from the other page. Oh, I was looking for the white piece because I wanted to do the same. See, as soon as that happens, it has a quieting effect, but it needs to be bigger. Oh, much better. So I just wanted to partially take out and cover that up. And it seems to be working because it's diagonally across or lower from the circle and pink piece in the upper left-hand corner. And you can, it did turn out slightly translucent for copy paper. I think maybe it's not copy paper. This could be laser paper. They do act differently. Picking up some yellow, and I'm planning to put it in the background. So then I thought, oh yes, I remember I went to the store to get this Indian yellow hue, which is so translucent and very, very, very vibrant. So I don't know if it's going to work. I probably could have added a little white to it to lessen the intensity or the hue of the color. But let's see what we do. And I know there's some blue line under there. I'm really liking that blue line. I think I'm going to make a note of that blue line and maybe use more blue line in the early layers. Because when you're spreading your layers, you're leaving a lot of open space. That's how previous layers can peek through. So now, and I thought, wow, that came right off. Well, because I have a layer of mixed of gloss medium there on top, but it still did something to the blue, so that's okay. So it's pretty powerful. I think I used the paper towel, and I need to add a little red to it, so I go and look for my magenta, quinacridone magenta. And it makes a really nice blush kind of color, which if you add white to it, you can get really nice different peach tones that really go well with blue. There it is there. It's still Liquitex Basics, the thicker series. And I just realized when I was doing my voiceover, I did not speed up this video. So this is an actual real time that I've been working on this page. So 34 minutes, less some editing, the drawing taking out, and let me know. Because when you speed it up, it makes everything rushed. And that's exactly not what I'm trying to teach. So I'm going to remember that. And I might put this is a great time to use a timer. 30 minutes on a page is great. 20 is a little rushed, but if you have just very minimal things out and you're using a smaller sketchbook, that's fun. So I have that. I have so many different art journaling journals for different things, so it's so much fun, depending on what you want to do that day. So I thought I had one row of the circles, and I like how it relates to the other piece, so I decided to put these at the bottom. A nice contrasting shape, an open shape, very organic. And then for my notes, I might jot down a few things, different things, differences that might go better, so I can remember that in the future. So I know I'm near, or I'm at the end when I start putting in my line. This is my new white Uniball pen. I really like the effect of a little bit of line, not too much. And then of course my other favorite one is gold. I can't find a black one where I am anyway, unless they're all sold out. I guess I'll have to get a whole set from Amazon. So I'm not an affiliate yet, but I'm working on that. I know it's taken a long time, but that's okay. I'm still loving that blue at the top. That piece of blue collage with the raw umber lines on it would have been a really interesting piece. I might add those. Take another snapshot of it at the end of this video. We'll see. Usually when I'm doing my voiceover, not always, my pages are drawing and I like to talk about them right away. And I like to echo the movement of any line, anything that catches my eye with my gold pen. But not making it too busy. And then right there at that moment, I remembered, slow down. Feel, be present. And to be present, you really need to slow down and listen inside. So there you have it. So here I'm showing you, okay, you see the colors that were left over from that page? This is what I do. So for the next, and not always, depends what colors I have or what inspiration I'm feeling. So these are super bright colors for an early start. And I can see that coming in and layering over them and scratching through them would be a really neat, a very interesting way to start a page. So here comes my little brayer. And then I'll put some black. And I hope you have enjoyed this video, part 2 of the new mark making series, and that you check out my free course and get your own intuitive art journaling practice started, because it is the backbone of intuitive art making. I'll see you next week.